evening. I'm known to change stories, not only last minute, but even midstream. That's not going to happen, at least as far as I can predict. But when I got here and I heard Al tell a story about China, and then we heard Nancy, was it Nancy? Who told the story about Russia? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I have to tell a story about North Korea? I don't think I have one. So luckily, I didn't think about changing it. But I have gone through 3 iterations of stories, and finally, at about 20 minutes ago, I figured out which one I'm going to try to tell. It was a really cold day in February, and I was in school at University at Albany. And I used a guide dog back then, and he was a Labrador Retriever who loved the snow, but hated the wind. If anybody knows the University at Albany, like Al does, it's like a wind tunnel. If you didn't know, it was actually designed by an architect for the state of New Mexico. And Rockefeller wanted it here. Truth be known, it was because of the phallic symbols that all those towers had, which are just like the state campus, the Empire State Plaza campus. And Rocky apparently was known for these designs. It was a windy day, it was cold, and I was on my way back from class, and I lived on a quad called Indian Quad. And I lived in a dorm room that was one person. Because I had a guide dog, they didn't give me a roommate. I would get my own room. I'm coming down the hall and I hear a lot of noise, a lot of excitement. And I'm thinking, someone's having a party and I'm not invited. And I think I should go see who it is, what's going on. Sounds really good. And I just came from such a frustrating class. I needed definitely to do something crazy and fun at the ripe old age of 20. And I'm getting closer to the noise and closer to the noise, and it's coming from my room. Now, I'm not invited to this party, but I definitely have an issue trying to get into the party because the door's locked, and I'm banging on the door, and nobody's answering it. I get my key, I put it in the lock, I open the door, and everybody yells, surprise. My birthday is 4 months from now. I didn't get engaged. I didn't get an A on my test. I give up. What is going on here? And like, what's going on? And they're like, everybody got quiet, and one woman, the spokeswoman, who was this woman named Valita Nisbeth, says, we all got together and decided that you're running for student government president. That was my reaction. And I said, no, another word, way. And they were like, yes, you are. We want you to do this. You'll be the best. You're going to be great. Blah, blah, blah. No, another word, way. And I just really wasn't there at all. I was like, this is no good. I appreciate all of your love and support, but I have no idea I would do something like that. It wasn't in my brain, and get it out of your brains. And they're like, why? Why won't you do it? Well, first of all, who the heck wants a blind president? No way is that gonna work. Secondly, I have no money. And it costs money to make brochures and make posters, and I don't have a team, except it looks like I have one right now, but there's like 20 of you in my room. And I don't think, and I paused and I said, look guys, do you know who's running for president? Mark the Mad Dog Grieve, who everybody knows, and he's got all the naysayers of the campus on his side. He's really trouble. He's got a big following. Joe Ranney is running. Joe Ranney's like this up-and-coming smart, another word, and because I know who's in the audience, drinking soda. And it is soda, I saw it. So I like Joe Ranney's like a big up-and-coming popular kid. And wait, the third person is Mark Weprin, the son of Saul Weprin, who's currently the Speaker of the New York State Assembly. No, another word, way, am I doing this? And they're like, yes, you are. And I'm like, guys, get out of my room, forget it. Go, whatever you were drinking and smoking, take it with you and go, because there's no way. Well, Valida is quite a presence, and a tall, thin, blonde woman with an attitude, and she's pretty amazing. And she convinced me that I would let them do it, let them nominate me. And I'm like, why am I saying yes? She goes, because you can't say no to me. And I said, the problem is you're right. Valida, please don't do this to me. You're doing this. We want to do it. I'm like, how are we going to organize this? The election is really soon. They're like, don't worry, we have a plan. So I said, well, what's the plan? And they said, we are going to go out there and convince every single student that the person who needs to be the president is Michael Corso. And I'm like, well, that's a plan? That's a failure. You forget it. I'm off. I'm not doing this. She pulls me back and says, look, we're going to do this. I promise you. If you don't like what we're doing in 1 week, you can pull out. That sounded like a decent offer. I'm like, okay, I'll try it with you, but I'm not gung-ho into this. Well, it went forward. They did the nomination, and they built a campaign called Corso, of course. And they would go around to the classes and interrupt the classes while the professor was teaching in lecture centers with 500 students. And they'd interrupt the class and they'd say, who's going to be the best president? Corso, of course. Corso, of course. And these young ladies were jumping around all perfectly dressed as you want to get some attention. And they were just running around, interrupting classes everywhere. They would go on the boards and chalk and write, Corso, of course, all over the campus. I said, we had a meeting in my room again, and I said, guys, this is it, I'm quitting. They're like, why? It's gonna work. I'm like, but I can't be associated with disrupting the entire university. I might win from the students and lose from the faculty and the administration, and that's a failure. No, let's quit. They're like, no, we're not quitting. I'm like, oh my God. It was a big fight that I lost because they wanted me to really do this. And, you know, I was 20 and they promised me they would let me drink soda. So we went to the Rathskeller and they bought me all the soda I could drink. And they convinced me that I got to stay with it. So these young ladies, and there were others involved, but this team of like 6 women traveled to all the student soda bars and pulled the plug out of the jukebox and then started chanting their Corso song and jumping on tables and dancing. And they were all extremely beautiful women. And it picked up. And there was this buzz, and around the campus, people were doing this. Corso, of course, was everywhere. Signs, people were, you know, screaming about Corso, of course. They see me, they made a big stink. There was just unbelievable buzz about this. And now I'm saying, wow, this is really overwhelming, but how the hell am I going to be the president? I don't know the first thing to do. Maybe I could read something about it. I'd have to pay someone to read it to me, but so what? I'm trying to figure this out. Well, now we're in the last week, and the election is coming up. And usually, the university's undergraduate population at the time was 10,000. And the average head count for voting, the election results were about 1,000. So 10%, almost as good as the United States. Just kidding. They just don't drink soda. So I'm fascinated by how this turned around and how exciting it got. And I finally got into it at the last week that this could be a possibility. I could give it a try. But everybody was talking about, who's going to be in the runoff, because the rules are you have to have 50% plus one. You need a majority to win the election. So with an election with 4 people always ends up in a runoff. The top 2 score getters are the ones that have another week to campaign against each other, and then that's the final election. So there's 2 passes at this. So it's election night, and everybody's down in the Rathskeller. You know what they're doing. There's a big run on Coke and Pepsi and ginger ale. That was at 3 in the morning, the ginger ale. And it's time for the election results to be read. So we have a student organization which has a chief judge and other judges that are basically used to protect students and others from bad doings by students. And it's a student court, and it's been recognized very highly by the university, and they allowed the students to actually self-regulate with that court. It was so respected. So the way they do the election is that the chief judge of the students is in charge of reading the results and collecting them and making sure that there's no fraud or bad things happening, bad doings. We were not quite to 2016, so we were able to make sure nothing bad happened. And the chief judge gets up and he stands on a chair and he's going to read the results. And he says, the results of the president election is first place, Michael Corso. Nobody moves. No sound, no clapping, no breathing, no nothing. I could hear my heart, but that was all I could hear. And everybody's waiting. Who's going to be in the runoff? And nobody's moving a muscle. And the chief judge says, no runoff, Corso, 53%. So I won the election that I didn't want to do. And now I'm throwing the keys, literally a ring with, like I thought I was a janitor, of the whole student association. And I'm now handed power that I don't even understand. But I will tell you in short that I took my responsibilities very seriously. I wanted to make the university a better place. I was a student advocate from the day I got there. And I'll give you a side story just to share. When I got there, they segregated disabled people. They all had to live together in one dorm, in one quad on the university. That wasn't happening. I left. I said, that's not happening. I'm going to go get a dorm somewhere else. And I made friends with a quad director across the campus and said, can I live in your quad? Can we get a room for me? And they said, yeah, we have an extra room. We could do it. So they got me a room. The university administration found out. They wanted to throw me out of the college. You're supposed to live over there with the disabled people. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. That's not good for me. It's not good for you. It's not good for the university. It's not good for anybody. We got to break this and integrate people, because we're all people. And we're all good people, and we're all trying to learn. So tell me the difference between my money and their money. Tell me the difference between my brain and their brain. Okay, don't answer that. But in fact, I really think it's better for the university, and I'm breaking out. And I hope you'll support it. And they did. And it changed the entire university's future. And I'm very proud to say that the university in 1999 won an award for having the most accessible university in the United States. And I was honored to be part of it and grateful to be part of it. And while I was president, I did really normal things. First, I bought a plane. We called it Student Association 1. We had a flying club. What is a flying club going to do if they don't have a plane? They can't teach to fly, So I said, we'll buy a plane. So we bought a plane, $5,000 Cessna 150, and we did all the due diligence we had to do, except we didn't clear it with the university. Well, we're a separate 501c3 corporation. I didn't think we had to do any clearance with the university. Well, the SUNY Central Administration said to the president, get that plane out of here. And President O'Leary called me up and said, President Corso, it's President O'Leary. Yes, Mr. President? He says, get that plane out of here. I'm like, Mr. President, I'm going to make you a promise. I have 9 more months in my president's term, and I'm going to get rid of that plane one day before I leave. And he's like, Corso, you're getting us in trouble. I'm like, that's my middle name, sir. I did more things and got a lot of grief for some of the things that I did. But I will tell you my final move that was creating problems, and these guys all wanted to get rid of me. They were like, oh my God, he's going to be the death of us. I knew the administration would have a problem with me because I was an activist and I was an advocate and I wouldn't let anything go. I worked really hard to make sure the university was represented well. In essence, I really wasn't fighting the university. I was trying to get them to understand we had to fight together to make a difference. But the last thing that I had the good fortune of doing is I went to see a concert and I told this story the last time I was here. And the last act that I did was I signed a contract with a band to play at the university, and the band's name was U2. And I was like, wow, what a cool name. I didn't know who they were. They were great. And the student newspaper wrote an editorial about me saying, Corso's course, which is brilliant because of the Corso of course. It all played in his article. And in the article, it said that I wasn't a team player. It said that I took actions that put everybody at risk, put the university at risk, put the students at risk. They were pretty getting down on me. But then they turned it and said, but you know, he did a lot of good things, except his last move is he signed a band for Mayfest, which is coming up in 5 days, called You Who? And I love saying that story because you who, huh? Okay. Well, I got some points for that at least. U2 is a phenomenal band, and it started, their second concert in America was at the University of Albany. So in closing, I don't mean to talk about me by doing this because my arm hurts and I don't want to keep patting myself. I don't mean that at all. I think the purpose of what I'm trying to share is don't stop doing the things you believe in, and don't stop thinking because you can't see that you don't have vision. Work hard to do the things that you can do. Make sure you realize the most important thing that you have is the resources around you. We help each other to make things better, or we wouldn't be doing anything. It's the love that we have for each other and the planet that's going to make the difference if the world's going to turn in a better way. We're at a very crazy point in the world right now. Don't give up thinking of the things that I'm sharing because that's the thing that's going to save us. Thank you so much.